Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse. Author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of You Guys Know, and these other little books right here, where you can get that. I have some cool merchandise, everything down in that description, so go down, you guys, because you know how much I love it. But what I love more is you guys. Really, the communication, the openness, you guys just being there for me and always having my back and keeping me on my toes. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much. This channel wouldn't be half of what it was without you guys. Of course, well, the input you put in towards the channel as well. So thank you so much. You guys fucking rock. And speaking of rocking, you guys, we are going to get into some pretty touchy subjects today. We are going to be talking about some of the ugliest divorces in rock and roll, because there's been some pretty ugly ones, and a couple I didn't realize had so many twists and turns. You know, because we all know about like Eric Clapton and Patty and George Harrison and that whole thing. Oh no, some of these are uglier, and a couple surprises too. And today's cocktail of the day, well, beer, because you know how much I love my beers. I'm such a beer snob. Not snob, but I like all kinds of beers. I like cool beers. I like plain beers. And this is one of my favorites because you guys know my favorite type of beer is a bourbon soak. So we're having one of my favorites out of Kansas City, Boulevard Brewing. So everybody get soaked. Kick up your heels. And let's have a little cocktails and some ugly rocktails, because I'm telling you, it's not pretty, you guys. I was kind of surprised by a couple of these. All right. Cheers, big ears. So fucking good. Definitely put that in my mouth before Kip Winger, and I like the smell of that better than I do Stephen Piercy. If you know, you know. Desiree, no, I could not have a threesome with Stephen Piercy and Kip Winger. That would just, the smell, the taste, I don't care how big Kip's dick is. Okay, so we're going to start with one that we all remember, that was all, you know, we all thought this guy, if he married her, he's going to be married for life. He was married to his first wife for 29 years, almost 30 years. Then she passed away of cancer, and then Paul McCartney went and married Heather Mills. To me, she was your typical long-faced English horse-looking chick. Like, yeah, I mean, but he saw a lot of good in her. She did a lot for charity. She definitely was an amputee who really broke the barriers for amputees. I give her that. But I think when Heather Mills and Paul McCartney married, there was definitely some motivation on her behalf. Definitely. You know, and a little bit of, I think she loved him, but I think this comes down to another woman who didn't care that she put a strain between him and the kids. This is another one of those situations. So Paul McCartney and Heather Mills, we all know they were married. They had a great marriage. They went and had a daughter. But that's when it started to fall apart. And she kind of started saying bad things in the press about him. Paul McCartney kept his dignity, didn't address it, didn't dignify it, you know, didn't justify what she was saying. But what happened really was in court, the judge kind of gave her a slap upside the head and was like, hey, I find Paul McCartney's evidence and testimony and everything to be truthful and consistent, but yours is lacking and inconsistent, and I don't feel it's very truthful. But in the end, he still awarded her $48.7 million and $70,000 a year in child support, which, okay, you know, I can see why, you know, the judge is going to award her just what it takes to keep Beatrice in good schools, whatever, paid half, because she's got $48.7 million. How long were they married? So they married in 2002 and separated 4 years. 4 years. And I remember in the press it getting ugly, and then she went on Dancing with the Stars and garnered fame that way. She was like, bringing, you know, attention to amputees, that we can do whatever you want. No, I think she really liked the limelight. I think she definitely kind of married for money in a little bit of way. You know, I think she was a bit of a gold digger. Well, she got some gold. She dug pretty deep for that. So, but that's not the ugliest. That's kind of the mildest, getting slapped around, being called a liar and cheater because Heather Mills was kind of not telling the truth about everything and keeping secrets because she did cheat on him according to people in behind the backstage gates. So, getting slapped by a British judge, pretty ugly. I can see that. But there's a whole lot uglier ones here. So let's scroll down. We are going to go. Now, this one surprised me. This one is Paul McCartney's bandmate. So this is Maureen Cox and Ringo Starr. Maureen was his first wife. And they began dating in 1962. They married in 1965. Everything seemed perfect. She had to kind of be hidden in the background because, the Beatles at the time, being the biggest band in the world, the biggest rock stars, they have the screaming girls, they really controlled publicity at the time. And a lot of people didn't know some people were married or divorced for that matter. Ask Robert Plant. People think he was still married to his first wife for years and years and years, for a couple decades after he divorced her. So she was a secret wife for a while, and she turned that blind eye for years, because biggest band in the world, they're going to have plenty of groupies on the road. They're going to meet other women, actresses, ask Priscilla about, and Margaret and stuff like that. So the complication in this one, and I think we're going to try and go from the mildest of the dirty divorces to the kind of, whoa, fucked up shit. So he was a heavy drinker. He went out of control. And by Ringo Starr's own account, he was a drunk and a wife beater. So, and women back then were, you get married, you stay, you put up with it, hope he gets better type of thing. So Maureen finally... Oh, and complicating matters further, George Harrison confessed his love for Maureen, and around this time the two had an affair. So, do unto others, I guess, Ringo. So that... and that wasn't the first time George Harrison fell in love with someone else's wife or girlfriend, but he did get it back. Ask Eric Clapton and his wife Patty. So that was a slightly uglier divorce. She had the affair, just like Heather Mills did, and she put up with a lot of stuff. I don't think that Paul McCartney was abusive to Heather Mills at all. As to where Ringo Starr and Maureen, yeah, I could see that. And I could see her wanting to be with George because he's there for her. She's his friends. You cry on someone's shoulders. You create a bond. You fall in love. He respected her as a wife and a woman. So, little slightly more complicated than his bandmate. And speaking of George Harrison and Eric Clapton, he and Patty Boyd are on this list. And you know what comes around goes around as far as relationship goes. So, and we all know this one, Eric Clapton fell in love with Patty Boyd. He was a mess. He was drinking and drugging. Went and sobered up. Came back, pursued her. She divorced George in 1977. They married, Patty Boyd married Eric Clapton 2 years later. And this just turned as ugly as getting a tattoo on your neck, man. They both started heavily drinking again. Eric was abusing her. What was with these English rock stars and their wives back in the 60s? So far, we've got, and if you include John Lennon, who is on this list, that I'm not going to do because, we all know about John. I talked about John Lennon before. But what is it with these guys and being abusive to their wives at home? And why don't we hear anything being like abusive to the groupies on the road or anything? Just the wives at home. What is with that? What is with that? What do you guys think? Tell me down in the comments, because why? Why is it that she was a George, obviously this nice guy, because Maureen had an affair with him, felt safe with him, who has been known to be kind of an asshole, but I don't know if I've ever heard anything about him being an abuser to his wife. So she leaves him for that, and then, well, like I always say, things that start out ugly and deceptive. End up ugly and deceptive. And speaking of ugly and deceptive, I've talked about this couple before in Whatever Happened to the DC Housewife, the Obama Crasher one. I've talked about this couple before because that DC Housewife was the reason for this fucking ugly divorce. And I was seeing it and hearing about it firsthand while it was all going on. So this is Neil Schon and Ava Fabian. So let's see how they began. Neil Schon's marriage history is almost blah, 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 blah. Beth Buckley, less than 5 years, 3 years. Oh, so Neil Schon is a serial cheater, obviously. I've told you guys what an asshole he is. He thinks just because he has a big dick, he's got something to swing around. Dude, you don't. You have no personality. You have no decency. You're just a fucking piece of shit. Really. I've met him several times. Oris will never work for them again. He hates them. So, let's see. He was first married in 76, got divorced in 86. Then Schon married again in 87. That lasted 5 years and 2 children. They divorced in 92. Then next became Dina, who he married in 93, and they divorced in 99. Then Amber Cozen became Sean's 4th wife. When the two married in 2001, they had 2 kids together and stayed married till 2008. 3 years later, Schon married Ava. Now, this is the one I saw that I've talked about, hanging out with Oris backstage while he was working for Journey. We were hanging on the bus after the show, and we were talking about how the woman that he had this child with, and they were married for like a month or 2 months before he started cheating on her with the DC housewife. Well, when she found out about it, Ava trashed the motherfucking house. This was told to me. This is not something that's in this article. She trashed the motherfucking house. Like, they were just married in Paris. And then Neil Schon takes up with this low class. And if you look at Ava, look at her. She is stunning. She looks classic. She looks like a decent woman. And then you get to the housewife and it's like, what the fuck did you trade down? You went from a fucking Bentley to a goddamn Pinto. Yeah, he did. But Neil obviously doesn't, he marries for trophy wives, it seems. He doesn't marry for love because after just 2 months as husband and wife, Schon had an affair with real DC housewife star Salahi chick, with whom he had a romantic past. In court, Schon's lawyers argued his marriage to Fabian was not valid since French law states the couple must live together for 30 days in the district where the ceremony takes place. The dispute was eventually settled out of court. Schon married Salahi in 2013. So Neil Schon played that. Just like Mick Jagger played Jerry Hall, because they sat in court, fighting over their marriage, and it was annulled because it wasn't deemed legal for the type of ceremony where it was. It wasn't legal under English law. And Schon probably knew that. Neil probably knew that. Because was he ever going to be faithful to her? I mean, what the fuck, Neil Schon? And I know that was messy because, like I said, I know she trashed the house. And well done, Ava. Glad you did. Because he wasn't married a month. It wasn't even a month when this was all going on and I was hanging out backstage at Journey. And at the time there was, Michelle Salahi's then husband was looking for her because she had just gone missing for 2 weeks. And the next thing you know, backstage, there's all these wanted posters because he's threatening Neil that he's coming to kick his ass. And there's these posters backstage that say, if you see this guy, please kick him out. Don't let him near Neil, because Neil, you know what? If you're going to take another man's wife, at least be able to fight him. Don't be such a pussy. How is that big dick working out? Not very well, apparently. But you know what? He's a lowlife, and I think he married the right woman finally. So let's hope that one does last, because birds of a feather. And I'm not perfect and I'm not judging anybody, I'm just kind of giving my little opinion. And this one, I'm scrolling down. This one we all know. one of the ugliest, not really ugliest divorces. It was a pretty ugly relationship, and that was Ike and Tina. He was abusive to her, and she just kind of didn't find her strength for a long, long time. The late Tina Turner, we all know, is a great woman and a strong woman, and she was definitely a role model in that divorce because she did not want anything. She was like, no, fuck you. I just want my name. That is all I want. He can have it all. And she walked out of there penniless with her name intact because her name is her business. So we all know that. I don't think that divorce was so ugly as much as it was. I mean, Ike fought it a lot. Ike made it ugly. He tore the kids apart, turned a couple of them against her. And I think that was the ugliest part. But I think what was uglier was the relationship that caused that divorce. So I'm not going to say that one was really ugly. Okay, now we have Thurston Moore and Kim Gordon, both of Sonic Youth. In 2011, after 27 years of marriage, it ended in kind of a normal way. Midlife crisis, starstruck woman, backstage, starstruck woman. It was a groupie. Oh, well. But as a groupie, I don't see anything sexy. Like, I love, Sonic Youth, and they have a lot of great songs. I think they were very innovative, but I see nothing sexy about Thurston Moore. No. But, there are starfuckers. Ask James Hetfield. So anyway, the starstruck woman was Eva Prince, a book editor Gordon had worked with for years. Oh, so she even did it behind her work associate friend's back. Oh, that's low. Okay, so that end of the marriage was pretty disgusting. So Thurston was carrying on this whole double life with her. And she only found out about the affair when she stumbled upon an incriminating text message. No matter how you guys think you're hiding it, you're not. You could have 500 different phones. A woman's gut will tell you. And Kim's was definitely telling her here. So the couple divorced and was finalized in 2013, also spelled the end of Sonic Youth. So that was the most hideous. I think that's a pretty hideous divorce because I really loved Sonic Youth. Cool thing, really great band. Love Kim Gordon, think she rocked. And Thurston Moore was just a geek who was lucky to have such a cool chick. But it would have been one thing had it ended, just because they had grown apart. And maybe they did, but ended then fuck that book editor. Ooh, and here's one. Ooh. Here's one divorce from someone who's become mega famous, who was already on one reality show with the now ex-wife, and has become part of a whole other shit show of trashy hoes. We're talking Travis Barker and Shanna Moakler. Now, they had done their Meet the Barkers reality TV show and stuff, and they filed for divorce in 2006, both accusing each other of infidelity, of alcoholism, of abuse, of the relationship was on and off again for the next couple years, and after their continual breakups and reunion constantly graced tabloids. Seems like Travis Barker likes a mess. No wonder he married into the Kardashians. Talk about starfuckers. I think Travis Barker likes a little bit of fame, and let's face it, he was getting dick shit with Blink-182 because they were never the biggest band. They were never great musicians, and he would never be considered a great musician, so he had to do what he had to do to kind of boost his credibility in the entertainment world. So, let's see. In 2014, so the divorce was finalized in 2008, but then even consistent reports of fighting and failed reconciliations. So they were your typical back and forth couple, and we all watched them kind of go back and forth and fight over things. And she was married to Oscar De La Hoya, or was in a relationship or married to Oscar De La Hoya, and they had kids together, and she was a Miss America winner pageant, something like that. So text messages shared in court revealed Moakler told Barker to keep his drug-addict girlfriends away from my kids. In response, Barker called his ex-wife a fucking call girl. I am very involved parent. Not only do I regularly take our children to and from school, tutoring, doctor's appointments, and extracurricular events, but I also see that they do their homework, cook them meals, play with them, plan all their birthday parties, and select all their activities. I have concerns about our children's safety and well-being when in Shanna's home. Really, what about you with the Kardashians? Do you trust your kids? I mean, I think they were both shit parents, and I think people who are that fame hungry tend not to be good parents. And you know their relationship is going to crash. And you know what? I see him repeating this pattern with Kourtney Kardashian. So as ugly as that divorce was, people will see how ugly the next one's going to be. Because remember, Shanna Moakler got pregnant, and that's with their child, and that's when they started kind of falling apart and getting a divorce, and everything was kind of boring. Right. Oh, and here's one, you guys. So let's go back up here. I don't want to do John Lennon. Now, we all know Sonny and Cher was ugly. John Lennon's first divorce was ugly because... And so was his relationship with Yoko. John Lennon was just an abuser and a womanizer. Like I said, no shocker about that. But this one, and I think we might end up with this one, because let me tell you first about this musician. To get into this marriage, so this guy was married, and we're going to be talking about Phil Collins from Genesis. So what I know about his first marriage, and a lot of people don't remember this from back in the day, is he started seeing Orianne Seavey while he was married to his first wife. And how Phil Collins told her he wanted a divorce, he left it on her answering machine. Pretty fucked up. It was like, I don't love you anymore, I'm in love with someone else, fuck off, you whore. Fought her in court, was pretty fucked up and ugly. So, yeah, no shocker that this one turned out the same. So he's been married and divorced 3 times. The messiest was undoubtedly the last one. Collins met Orianne Seavey in 1994 when she was 22 and he was 44. No big deal. I was dating men in their 40s and my 20s. And especially when it comes to rockers, it's like there's definitely a meeting in the middle as far as mentality goes there. So they started dating but hid their relationship from the public eye, largely because Colin was still married to second wife Jill Tavelman. So Jill Tavelman is the one he was seeing behind the first wife's... Okay, so I got that mixed up. So Jill was the one he was seeing behind the first wife's back that he called and left a message on their answering machine. Says, yeah, bitch, I'm divorcing you. He wasn't nice at all. And, Phil Collins actually said this in an interview one time, that everybody thinks because he plays this nice guy in Genesis, they don't really know him. He's just this innocent-looking bald guy, that he's some really nice guy. He goes, no, I'm an asshole. And he said that himself. So... again, we fall back to how did your relationship start and how is it going to end? So he had to hide another relationship from his second wife, just like he did their relationship from the first wife. So, and they divorced in 1994, about when he started dating Orianne. Orianne's a beautiful woman. She looks smart. She looks like she's got some stuff. She's too pretty for him, but... is what it is. Rock stars get hot chicks. So they wed in 1999, but 7 years later they filed for divorce. Collins paid Seavey more than $46 million in that breakup, which is way more than he paid the other wives. I think the other wives got like $10,000, $100,000. Like, he slapped them around pretty hard legally, from what I understand, in the first 2 marriages. And Jill was just shocked when he was cheating on her. Really? Because you were shocked. It didn't shock you when you guys were doing it to first wife, but it shocked you when it happened to you. Karma. Karma never shocks me. I'm like, what the fuck did I do to deserve that one? So at least I make up for it. But anyway, so she got $46 million in that breakup. Amazingly, things got even messier because they fought it for a few years. After they both moved on to other relationships for several years, Seavey and Collins returned in 2016 and moved into his mansion in Miami. So they get back together 10 years after they break up, right? What a lovely story, isn't it? You reunite, you see what you did wrong, and you're like, yeah, I'm back with the woman that I'm supposed to be with. Ooh, that's not what happened. Then in 2020, Collins had Stevie evicted from his home after he discovered she had secretly married a male escort. Oh, girl. I mean, I could see probably why you would want to, because, I just don't see Phil Collins as someone that would be earth-shattering in bed or a great partner, a great, co-parent or anything like that. He seems very selfish and into his own world. So, but what the fuck? She married a male escort with whom she was having an affair. Adding one more strange chapter to the story, Collins sold the Miami home in 2021 for $39 million. CV sued, saying she was entitled to half the sale price, but the lawsuit was later dismissed. So it seems they just try and keep hitting each other where it hurts in the wallet. A male escort? Like I said, I can see that Phil Collins would not be the greatest lover or the greatest, emotional support or good man, or he wouldn't just try and bond. He seems pretty selfish and lame in bed. So I can see why you would hire a male escort, but sweetie, you don't marry the hired help. No. She fucked up there. But there's a lot more ugly divorces. Like we have Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson, still ugly to this day. You had Tommy Lee and Heather Locklear, ugly, and Heather Locklear and Richie Sambora. They had just as an ugly divorce. Like, he was blindsided and he was going around in the press. Richie was like, no, we're not getting a divorce. No, 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 no. Then one day she's like, oh yeah, we are. By the way, I filed. So, but I think the ugliest divorce on here was definitely Phil Collins and the Oriane, because I think they'd still go at it. If they had something to fight over, I think they'd be at each other's fucking jugglers like goddamn hyenas. Seriously. Let's see, what's this one? Josh Home and Brody Dale. Nah. 5-year restraining order, because they were both just drunk and abusive. Typical, 1990s, early 2000 rock star. Shocker. But you know what? There was one divorce that I think would have happened had this rocker stayed alive that I think would have been fucking hideous. And especially at the time, Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. You guys, had he not died, that would have been probably the ugliest divorce on this list. But again, I think the ugliest one is definitely Phil Collins. The first and the second one, because to leave it on a voicemail, just go over, even if you hate the wife, you married her. You have kids together. Just say, hey, I don't love you anymore. I'm cheating. I love my mistress. Bye. Say it to her face. Have the cojones. Don't cop out like the weak-ass son of a bitch, piece of shit asshole that Phil Collins admits that he is. And ladies, if you're going to start a marriage in ugly, it's going to end. If you're going to start a relationship by ending a marriage and things being ugly, guess what? It's going to end the same way for you. You hear that, Adriana? No matter getting a tattoo is going to help that. In fact, it's just going to spur it on. So, we've got a lot more uglier ones than this. But all right, you guys, that's all the ugly I want to talk about today. I don't want to talk about divorce and stuff like that. I like to talk about fun things like Kip Winger slapping his dick over shoulders. Oh, no, that was Red Beach. Anyway, if you know, you know. So, okay, you guys, hope you had a good time. If you know of more ugly celebrity divorces, put them down there in the comments. You guys tell me what you think. Tell me ones that you know, because everybody goes through where they just grow apart or they married too fast, and you've seen it handled beautifully in 1,000 different ways. But man, and what is with those Beatles guys beating their wives? What is that? I mean, George Harrison was known to be a dick. Like, there was one chick at the Playboy Mansion who was like, oh yeah, I'll go be with George Harrison. She sucked his dick while he was strumming guitar, and when he came, he got up and left without a word. So he can be an asshole, but I don't think I ever heard of him being abusive to his wife. So, what is with those Beatles guys? You just think that that's okay? And that the wives, I'm glad we've learned to walk away a lot sooner these days in situations like that. And it's hard, but because I've been in a situation like that. And it was hard to walk away, but ladies, the second that hand even goes like that, even if it doesn't connect with you, ooh, walk out. Hit him where it hurts. The wallet, like Orianne did, 46 million. And Heather, she got 48 million. Okay, maybe I should change my opinion no. Rock stars make shit husbands, obviously, but maybe I should change my opinion on marrying one and get the alimony money. Should have married James Hetfield back then. I'd be riding the alimony fucking horse to the grave. But that's not me. All right, guys. Thank you again for everybody who made it through the video to the end with me. You guys rock. And thank you so much for all the love and support. And for you guys who are lurking, show yourselves. You know how you do that? You go down, you hit the like, you hit the share, you become a member, you comment. You guys are joining us already and being a really cool part of our family, kind of from the background. Come backstage with us. We're having a good time here. So, all right, you guys. Don't forget, go down, hit the share, hit the like, hit my bells, and we'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.